Hey everybody, Nikki Burnett here with Taste Life Nutrition. I'm a functional nutritionist and I practice strategic evidence-based nutrition. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the food that we eat. And when I say that, we start to wonder why certain foods and certain diets work for some people and they don't work for others. And all of these books are out here about the best nutrition for everybody, and does that work? Well, I would say no. You know, just because blueberries are great for some people doesn't mean they're great for everybody. And so what does that look like? If I'm in practice, how am I going to know what it is that I want to do for a particular client and how the best way to understand that what their needs are as far as nutrition is concerned? Now, I need to back up. I forget this every time, but I need to tell you that everything that I say here is strictly for educational purposes. It's for you to have a resource to arm yourself with the information to help yourselves, to help your families, and to start understanding your own bodies. I don't treat, I don't diagnose, and I'm not a physician. I'm a nutritionist. And so let's move on from there. We all got the point. Okay, so in practice, as you already know, I do a pretty significant amount of testing because when I look at the body, I want to know how the body is functioning and why it's functioning as it is. And that's what labs are going to be able to tell me. For the most part, nothing's perfect, but it's going to give me a really good idea of what's going on in the body. There is a test that I like to run, and it's called an apolipoprotein E genotype test, ApoE for short. And the interesting thing about this genotyping test is everybody has it. Everybody has an ApoE genotype, but there are 6 categories or maybe subcategories under this genotype. And you've got ApoE 22, 23, 33, 34, and 44. And these may be the key, or at least one of the keys, in understanding what are the macronutrients that each of us needs as an individual, not what my mom or my dad or my brother or sister needs, but what is it that I need? What are my genes telling me that I need to eat? This ApoE genotype can also look at how we utilize and process cholesterol and some chronic conditions. There are some pretty significant chronic conditions out there, and understanding your genotype can again arm you with the information on how to avoid dealing with these nasty, nasty diseases that are out there. And again, keep in mind there are many, many, many factors that go into coming down with a chronic condition. And so there's never just one, but these things, understanding the more information that we have on our bodies, how they're functioning, what our genetics are, that kind of thing, then the better off we're going to be later on. So I want to talk a little bit about my own journey and understanding my own ApoE genotype and what that means. Let me back up a little bit. I want to explain first what each category means. And so we're looking at, so say ApoE 22 and ApoE 23. Both of those tend to be a higher fat, lower carbohydrate type of genotype. So if I see those might be the people that would do really well on a ketogenic diet. And if you don't know what a ketogenic diet is, it is a really high fat diet. It's not high protein, it's high fat. It's sometimes up to 70 to 90% of your daily calories are in fat. And when it works well for the right people, it works really well. And they truly thrive on a ketogenic diet. It's extremely restrictive, and so you have to be prepared to want to do it. But most people, when they do it, they feel great if they have the right genetics for it. I will say that. And then so you have ApoE 33. Those people tend to be more along the lines of, they're considered neutral. So not too high of carbohydrate intake and not too high of a fat intake, but right down the middle. You want it to be equal. And then your ApoE 3 and your 3-4. Those are the guys that tend to need lower fat and higher carbohydrate. They also tend to be the ones that deal with more cholesterol issues, and the genetic propensity toward hey Jason more genetic propensity toward hypercholesterolemia. If I have clients that come in and they're doing all the right things and they're eating really well and things are going well, but we can't get their cholesterol numbers down, we start to look at some other factors. One being, what is their genotype, and maybe that's a key player in the high cholesterol numbers. For ApoE 4 tends to be the one, I think that's probably 5, I think it's 4 or 5% of the population has the ApoE 4 genotype. And those people really need to be really low fat, believe it or not. I am a big fan of fat. We've talked about fat. I think fat is healthy, it's necessary, it's important, just as protein is, just as the right carbohydrates are. But again, going back and understanding our genotype, that's how we can really, I think, learn to thrive on the foods that we eat, and understanding, okay, it's not about the type of food, but it's about the amount of macronutrients. And so lower fat, actually in my studies, it shows that ApoE 4 should be even close to vegetarian. I'm not one to promote vegetarianism. I'm definitely not one to promote veganism. I work with some vegetarians and some vegans, and I get it. I've been there. But I do truly believe that our bodies are meant to consume complete proteins, and those are in meat sources. Without those complete proteins, then there are nutrients that we don't get. B12 we can't get from anywhere else except for meat and our gut bacteria, which produces B12. Carnitine, now it's a non-essential amino acid, but a lot of people don't produce their own carnitine well, and so if you're not, then your mitochondria don't work properly. So I feel like I'm getting off topic just a little bit, but again, so much of this goes back to who we are as far as our DNA is concerned. It's huge because we're not all the same. So a little bit about myself and my journey. I'll be as quick as possible, but it's been interesting because I'm my own best guinea pig, and I always have been. And so growing up, in probably the first half of my life, I was not the best eater in the world. I actually ate quite crappy. I think college, it was Dr. Pepper and Taco Bell, and just made me super happy. And then, of course I was overweight and I was fairly unhealthy, but I was also young. And so when you're young, you can take care of that stuff. It kind of rolls off until it doesn't anymore, right? So after I graduated grad school is kind of when I started to dig into nutrition a little bit more. And there was a little bit of a change there, and started learning and understanding. And so throughout that time, as I'm my own best guinea pig, I did the Atkins diet, which I did terribly, and it didn't work well for me at all. But the basis of Atkins is good. It's not all good. Basis of it's pretty good. So I did the Atkins diet. I was vegetarian for 5 years. I was vegan for a year. I've done the ketogenic diet, which was not good for me either. But in looking back and understanding and doing my own genetics and learning about my genetics, quite honestly, what I've seen and how I've felt my body work and how I've stayed lean, because in going through all these, even as a nutritionist now, I'm still trying to learn my body and understand and figure things out, and what does my body thrive on and what does it not thrive on as much. And I look back and I felt really good and was fairly lean in my days of being vegetarian and vegan. I will say it again, I don't promote being a vegetarian or a vegan. I think we miss too many things. And had I been vegetarian vegan for much longer, there are deficiencies that come up. And so I want to do the best for me. And so what I do is I watch my fat intake. Now, I will also say that watching my fat intake doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy low-fat yogurt or no-fat yogurt or milk or any of these low-fat processed foods, because that is not healthy either. Those things are killers. When they take the fat out, they add sugar in, and it just creates a whole other host of messes. So if I'm eating fat, which I do, it's whole. If I'm doing whole milk, which I have a raw milk share, so I do raw milk, then it's a full fat milk. If I'm doing cheese, it's raw cheese, it's a full fat cheese. Coconut oil, I'll do full fat. Coconut milk, I'll do full fat. But I'm very aware about how much I'm putting in, what I'm making. If I'm using butter, instead of doing a whole, slather of butter, I'll do less butter. And I'm finding that this is how I work better. And it's amazing because it's all in my genetics. And so when I work with my clients, I as I said, I do lots of testing, and bringing my clients in, this is one of what is becoming, because I'm learning more and more about it, but it's becoming a really integral part of my practice, understanding, okay, I can actually feel fairly confident about saying these are the types of foods you should eat, and the time, more than that, the macronutrients that you should be taking in on a daily basis. And I'm not one to say we need to count fat and count calories. I think sometimes it could be a good thing if you're trying to learn your body, and what does it mean to take in 20% fat, or what does it mean to take in 30 or 40% fat, or if you're on a keto diet, what does it mean to take in 70 or 80% fat? So understanding what that looks like on paper, sometimes it's or on a computer screen, but sometimes it's really important to track it just for a certain amount of time until you learn about who you are, how your body is working and functioning, and how it's gonna do best for you, and to keep you at a really great place of health. So I think that that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm looking at my notes behind me, and I think that's everything that there is as far as apolipoprotein E. Hey Chris, good to see you. But feel free to ask questions, post questions below the video. I'm going to post this video on my personal page as well. I think I'm going to try to start putting them on my website. And what else? Go to my website, and if you have questions, my number's on there. You can call me. Let me know. I'm here to help to support you and be a resource for you. And if we ever want to work together, then we can do that too. So let me know if you have questions. I am going to really try to do this a little bit more often. It's not been easy, but I really want to continue to get as much information out there as I can. So anyway, I'll stop jabbing. Thanks for everything, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.